Today I'm joined by the chairman of Migration Watch, which is Alp Mehmet. Thanks for joining me on the show for the first time, Alp. Nice to see you, mate.
Good to see you.
And he's back, he's to the left in the corner, he's a socialist, he's a Labour Party member, he's Andy McDonald. He's from my neck of the woods. Let's see what he's got to say today. But first we're going to talk, Alp, about immigration, migration, legal migration and illegal migration. Do you think there should be a cap on the number of people coming to this country?
Of course there should. Of course there should. Otherwise, how on earth do you control it? What the government has done really over the last 4 or 5 years has actually handed over control to the employers, to the universities, opened the door ever more widely, really, and has very little control of those who are actually coming in at the moment. That's why net migration has shot up. The year before now, 745,000 net. That's massive, absolutely massive. The last count to June 2023, what happened? We've got 672,000 people net. And they're welcoming that. Oh, it's falling. No, it's not.
Yeah, but some people may say that this is actually helping us grow the economy, it's making us more productive, we're producing more things, etc. I don't think that's the case, because I was always taught, I did a little bit of economics at school, you might not believe that, but the way you become more productive in a business is to do more with less people. It's the same for the economy, surely.
Yeah, but that's not actually happening. We haven't got fewer people doing it. We've got more people doing it. What happens is, the economy grows because there are more people here. So it's better. But per capita, you and me, it's remained pretty much flat for the last 10, 15 years.
So let's go over to our left in the corner, trade unionists, Labour Party members, socialists, other things, Andy McDonald. Should we have a cap on immigration?
Oh, I think we should, but it's got to be reflective of the economy's needs and also the wider British society's needs. You know, we can't keep having a university system that is reliant on foreign students, but then go, actually, no, you're not allowed foreign students anymore. You know, there needs to be serious reform in our co-op industries to actually allow them to survive without migration.
You think some of these universities are actually taking advantage of our immigration system?
I think some of them are, yeah, because there's no way for them to really fund the research that they want to otherwise.
Yeah. When you say research, Andy, I mean, I'll come back to you, Al, because I see a lot of these universities, I think they're just making up these Mickey Mouse courses, and people come over from all around the world to do these courses, then bring the partners and children, whatever. It creates a massive strain on our public services, and actually, I don't think the degree courses they're doing serve any purpose.
Well, that aside, and some of the universities, some of the lower tier, as someone has described them, universities.
Tier, what does that mean?
It means not as high performing, the ones who don't require as high grades to accept people. They'll take anybody in so long as they can pay. Yeah. And we've got to the stage now when, frankly, they're not just reliant. They claim that they need the money in order to subsidise, to support British students. No, it's in order to pay for the whole lot, to pay for the administrators and the rest of it, and the high salaries that a lot of them do actually earn. That's what they want the foreign students for. Perhaps we should think about having fewer universities. Hey, that would be an idea.
Fewer universities.
Well, I do agree. I think the transformation of polytechnics into universities was a mistake. Looking at coming from Mansfield, a lot of people would have gone to Nottingham Polytechnic, but now it's Nottingham Trent University. Yeah. And a lot of skills have been lost in our area because of it. So I do agree, but I think that ship has sailed.
West Nostech now, which is
actually a Nottingham Trent University affiliated campus. But that ship has sailed at this point. They've already been transformed.
Okay.
But I think, if they were making all this money and paying all these high salaries, why can't they afford to pay their postgraduate researchers a decent wage? If it was purely for that reason.
What's Labour's stance on this, Andy? You're a Labour Party member, you're active within the Labour Party. If the unthinkable happens and they do get elected later this year, is it going to get better or worse?
I can't see it getting much worse. Over the last 5 years alone, we've had 5 different Home Secretaries. Clearly, this is not a Conservative government that actually is taking migration seriously. So I can promise you.
Seriously, I mean, we nearly had Diane Abbott as the Home Secretary. Would it have got better within mathematics.
You know the tensions within the Labour Party better than I do. Andy does as well. And I know that even some of the policies that have already been announced,
Like the Rwanda
they've been
scheme.
challenged. Yeah, the Rwanda scheme is going to be abandoned, whatever happens. We're never going to see the fruits of any success, if there is any. And I'm afraid that once the Labour Party are in power, they will find how difficult it is, and indeed what the anchors are that weigh them down when it comes to the proper right immigration policies that we need if we're going to reduce the rates and scale of immigration that we've got at the moment, which is massive.
Andy, from Sir Keir Starmer, when he talks about tackling illegal migration, is we're going to smash the gangs. What does that mean?
I think it means that they're going to set up a processing unit in France to go straight to the centre of where the gangs make most of their money. So those that are legitimate can access safe and legal routes, and those that can't, we can then say everyone on those small boats is not legitimate. Yeah. That's what I think his point is there.
I don't think that they really know how immigration works. And it's not a case of going after the gangs. We're already doing that, for goodness sake. That our police, our agencies, they're working very closely with the French and other of the EU agencies that they need to work with. That is just a nonsense. It's effectively saying we're not going to do anything about it.
OK, let's let the cat out of the bag, shall we? You're an immigrant. You came here as a child from Cyprus, but you're so passionate about this subject, about us controlling migration and having a cap. Why is that so?
Because it was the country that my parents came to, and they committed to this country. They committed to what this country was about. It was something that I grew up being taught to have a belief, a faith in this country, to like what it had to offer. And that is what I see now changing. And that is what worries me, because there's not just immigrants like me, although in fact I came from a bit of the empire while it was still part of the empire. But a lot of people in your constituency, they feel very strongly about the country that has made them what they are, and which is now being undermined and being changed. And that is serious. It's going to lead to all sorts of instability, I think, and the cohesion that we value is going to be in jeopardy.
Is it in jeopardy, Andy, the cohesion, the social cohesion, which Help talks about?
I think in some regards, where there hasn't been a proper transition. You look at some parts of South London and some parts of North London.
Well, I don't think there's been a proper transition anywhere, Andy, in my opinion. I think people just arrive and just settle into their little groups.
I disagree. I think, you look across the Midlands, there have been a lot of Eastern European communities that have come over the years, Ukrainians, Polish, Albanians, who have actually settled quite nicely. In Mansfield, I remember going to school, we had a lot of Polish kids. They got on as well as I did. And I think in some regards they have actually climatised very, very well, but it's a case-by-case basis. I think there have been conscious efforts by district councils and county councils in some areas to make sure that social transition has been done, and I think that needs to be continued across the country.
Yeah, but you talk about the Eastern Europeans. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. The Eastern Europeans, the Ukrainians, the Estonians, the Latvians, they've had a tradition of coming over since the Second World War and integrating and making a massive contribution towards our society.
The Poles had their own regiments, their own squadrons in the Air Force.
And the Battle of Britain, we couldn't have won that without the Poles.
Well, I don't know about that, but certainly they played a significant part in what was going on. But look, that's an example of where mass immigration, on the scale that it is at the moment, at the speed that is happening at the moment, how it even undermines the relationship between people like the Poles and those in this country, the indigenous bit of the country.
Yeah, but of course, Andy, a lot of people will look at this and think, well, Tony Blair started all this back in the early days of his premiership, and he did, didn't he?
Yes and no. I mean, you can track it back to the Windrush generation if you really want to look at a large level of migration into the country. But I'm sure
that wasn't free movement, was it?
It was to an extent.
It was also tiny, for goodness sake. There were more Cypriots coming in at that time than there were people coming in from the Caribbean. I think that's an example of something being weaponised, frankly.
It is, and it's interesting now. Andy, I'm going to come back to you, because when we've been in the chamber over in that place over there, when the Shadow Home Secretary is challenged and tackled over what would you do Where would you send illegal migrants? We are yet to have an answer. Why is that?
Because there's no clear route at the moment. You know, the Tory government wants to send them to Rwanda.
Yeah.
You know, it's a baffling.
But if their home country won't accept them,
yeah,
where would the Labour Party send them to?
I don't speak for the Labour Party. I don't know. I'm not in the fold with the vet.
But you are a Labour Party member?
I am a member of the
with
Labour
ambitions.
Party. Everyone's got ambitions, Lee. Everyone's got ambitions. But I'm not in the Yvette Cooper policy advisory team.
So if you was the Shadow Home Secretary, what would your policy be on where would you send illegal migrants that can't go back to their home country?
Oh, send them back to France. You know, deal with it across the channel.
Like me, don't it? Send them back to France.
There you go.
I got in trouble for saying that.
Oh, you've really put your finger on it. I think that's the whole issue. Yeah. It's all very well to clear them quickly, but then you've got to be able to send them somewhere as well.
Yeah.
And a safe third country is perfectly reasonable.
I think so.
Somewhere.
But just tell me this before, because we've got to come to the yes or no quiz in a minute. Why is it people leave France, a safe country, to come to this country, and the left, doing Andy's lot, say they're fleeing persecution, they're fleeing wars? Well, they're not, surely.
No, the French actually refuse 3 times more than we do those who are seeking asylum there.
Yeah.
They come here because they can, frankly. Yeah. In the end, once they get here, they know. And this is what the traffickers sell to them. Don't worry, we'll get you there, and once you're there, they're not going to throw you out.
Yeah.
That's what attracts more and more and more. And when the Archbishop of Canterbury, joining forces with others in the House of Lords...
You know what, I walked past his house, well, one of his homes, on the way to work most days, Lambeth Palace. That's got hundreds of spare rooms in there. I did write to him a couple of years back and ask him to give up some of his rooms to put up the illegal migrants. I'm yet to have a response.